Hello, folks. My name is Graham Hulbert with Tula Consulting, and today I'm going to do the first of a multi-part video series defining the landscape of neurodiversity. Um, so, in this video and in the series, we're going to define these 5 terms here that you can see. In this first video, we're going to be talking specifically about the first 2 terms, which are neurodiversity and neurotypical. So, let's get cracking. Okay, so here it is in plain text, neurodiversity. This is a recognition that not all brains think or feel in the same way, and that these differences are natural variations in the human genome. Pretty simple. We're going to get into it and land it with some context in society and the world at large as we go through this video. So don't worry, there's more coming. Next term is neurotypical. So this refers to individuals who have a more typical development and intellectual cognitive functioning. That's kind of the plain text definitions there. That's what you'd find in a dictionary. Um, and it's not particularly helpful when you start thinking about it in reality, in life, in work, in school. So we're going to dive into these with a bit more um, explanation and some visualizations to help land it in context. And to do that, we're going to use the power of statistics. Stay with. So what we see here is a graphical representation of the variation within a population. And in this case, as we talk about the landscape of neurodiversity, what we have is on the x-axis is all the different ways that people can think and feel and interact and show up in the world. So that's neurodiversity, the spread of the way we can think and feel differently within the population. And then the y-axis is how many people within that population have that particular or similar type of thinking and feeling, or similar way of thinking and feeling. So you'll see there's a large majority that think and feel in the same way. And as you go out to the whiskers, that bell curve, there's less and less individuals that show that particular variation of how we show up and think and feel. So how do we talk about this in more detail and more understanding? Well, we can use a few more statistical tools to help kind of break it down. So let's go for that. What we have here is the average running right down the middle, and then some it's called standard deviation, some measure of variation of as we how far we are varying from that average from that. As we go to define the term neurotypical and talk about this in this graphical representation, an important thing to start with is what neurotypical is not. So neurotypical is not the average. It's not one line down the middle of our population here. And I think that's really important to make clear because anytime we start using an average, we have to be cautious because an average is not a true representation of any individual within a population. An average is actually an amalgam of the entire population. So, particularly in neurodiversity, when we're talking about humans and the way we show up, there's no actual average thinking and feeling type. There's no individual that is an exact match to this line in the middle. And that's crucial when we start talking about acceptance and understanding of this full continuum of neurodiversity. So when we say neurotypical, we drop that average and we actually are talking about this kind of band in the middle, this majority. A neuromajority is a term that's been used for this. And what we're talking about is the large number of people within the population that think and feel in a more typical way or in a similar way. So that represents neurotypical. Um, so the more you go away from the neurotypical majority, the harder it can be to fit in society. And that's where the term neurodivergent comes in. We're going to start talking about that in the next video. So before we wrap this up, an important thing I like to land on, and it's a good thing to discuss as we wrap this up, is this statistical shape we're talking about, this variance within a population. There's another word for it. I've called it a bell curve, but statistically, you can also call it normal distribution. So why is that important to me, and why is this where I want to land the end of this video? Well, what this means to me is that whether you're neurotypical or neurodivergent, no matter how you show up, you are normal. There is no individual normal. There's no subset of this collection here that is normal. The entire continuum is what is normal. So that means we have introverts, extroverts, people who are neurodivergent, people who are neurotypical, people who are Gryffindor or Hufflepuff or Myers-Briggs, INFP or ENTJ, whatever it is. We all show up in a way that is normal, in a way that needs to be supported and understood and recognized. And I think that's why statistics here uh, can teach us a real great lesson around neurodiversity. So that's why I wanted to land this video. Stay tuned. We're going to dive into neurodivergent and a few more terms in the next video. Looking forward to seeing you there.